Hello, welcome to my introduction video about how to start customizing LPS. In this video I'm going to show you the basic tools that I use, and I'm going to explain shortly to you kind of the different steps. I'm also going to make different tutorials for the different steps in the process, so this is basically just an introduction for those videos. Hope you enjoy. So the first step that you need to know about customizing is that you should probably either start with customizing a pet that you have doubles of, or you could buy a fake one from China, like this one for example. Actually this custom, which is my metal elemental, was made from a fake LPS, and I wouldn't really be able to tell the difference, and since it's been customized it doesn't really matter. But so just make sure that you're not trying, at least if you're a beginner in customizing, don't try to customize one of your rare pets straight from the bat. Just kind of start with something easy, and yeah, if you want to use rare pets, I suggest at least in the beginning that you use the fake ones, or you use something that's already been badly damaged. When I customize my pets, it usually takes at least 3 or 4 days. The different steps of the process are obviously, first you should probably sketch your custom. Here is actually a sketch of this one. So I just planned in advance which parts I'm going to sculpt, so it's easier kind of when you're sculpting. You don't have to start guessing how many parts you need to sculpt. The second part of the process is prepping your custom. So for example, if I were to remake this one, I would just take nail polish remover and rub this one with it. Just make sure that it contains acetone, because that way it takes the paint off. And if you're a beginner, I actually suggest that you leave the eyes and don't really change them, or just try to paint over them, because the eyes can be quite tricky. And actually the normal LPS eyes look kind of cute usually, so if you want it to look like a normal LPS and not super customized, you could just leave the eyes as they are. I'm going to show you more in the actual prepping video. So after prepping my custom, I usually wash it just normally with soap and water, and then I let it dry overnight, just in case that there's no water in the neck that can get lodged there and maybe, I don't know, give the LPS a rusty neck. That's never happened to me, but I just like to make sure that nothing like that happens. The second step is obviously optional. If you don't have any sculpting material, you can just skip that tutorial, but pretty much what I do is that when I have a prepped one, I just sculpt the parts for it, and I'm going to show you more of that in the sculpting tutorial, which is going to be a separate video. After sculpting, you're going to want to base coat your custom. I usually just use white paint. It doesn't matter what the finished look is going to be, I just use it so that I kind of have a blank slate. Basically I do it so that it doesn't distort the colors that you're going to put on top of it, so any color is going to look like vibrant and nice because you're using a white base for it. You don't have to do this, it's just something that I like to do. As I already said several times in multiple videos, I use acrylic paints. There's no trick to getting no streaks showing on your custom. It's just something that you have to train and practice. I'm going to show you, or tell you kind of a few techniques for this in my painting tutorial, which is also going to be a separate video. And so when you base painted your custom, you're gonna just wanna paint it, finish it, just have a look at your reference sketch and then just go for it. I usually paint my customs in one go because if I start painting I have to finish it. But if it's easier for you, you can always just start by painting the base coat color. Like for this one it was a dark gray, and then just go and paint the details on it. As I already said in the beginning, it takes 3 to 4 days depending on if you're sculpting something. So I always prep on the first day, let it dry overnight, then I sculpt it, let that dry overnight, then I base coat it, let that dry overnight as well, because it actually makes the surface somehow, I don't know, easier to work with. I think that the paint kind of just sticks to it better if you just let it dry for a while. And then on the last day I just finish the paint job. So I'm going to just show you tools that you need for customizing after this. Obviously what you're gonna need is a base figure that you don't like anymore, or you don't use anymore, or something that's been badly damaged and that you feel like you're not gonna be too sad about if it gets destroyed or customized. You're gonna need nail polish remover with acetone or anything pure acetone. If you're Finnish, you're gonna be able to read this. The other ones won't. But yeah, this is just normal nail polish. You probably want to avoid those that have lots of oil in them and that are kind of good for the nails. I don't know how to describe it, whatever. Yeah, just use nail polish remover or pure acetone. You can use cotton swabs and just rub the pet. I'll show you more of that in the next video, which is about prepping your custom. You can also use just normal Q-tips, which are smaller if you want to, especially if you want to preserve the eyes. You can just remove it carefully, but I don't. So I just use these and I soak them in it and then I just rub them, as you'll see in my next video. You're gonna want some sculpting materials. You can either use the same stuff that I use, which is Kneadatite, or you can just use any sort of air drying sculpting mass. Just the main thing is that use something that's air dry, because you can't really put the LPS in an oven, I think. I wouldn't recommend it, at least. So use something that's air dry. You're gonna need some acrylic colors to paint your pet. Some people use nail polish. I don't recommend it because it's very thick and it's gonna be really hard to remove from the paint. So just any acrylic colors are fine. You just have to learn how to use the paint. What I use normally isn't any magic paint, it's just any acrylics. You just have to learn how to use them and how much water they require and all that. It's very individual. But any high quality artist acrylics, I think, should be fine. Obviously you're gonna need brushes. As you can see with these, you could at least get 3 different brushes. It kind of depends if you need them. I use a big brush for base coating, so it's its own brush that I only use for that. There's a slightly smaller brush for large areas of paint. And then I use this, just the tiniest brush that I can find for details. So you're gonna wanna have at least 2 or 3 different sized brushes. In the beginning you're gonna notice that it's hard maybe to paint with smaller brushes, but that's something that you get used to if you just work with it. Additional things you might need is an X-Acto knife, or a knife similar to this. This is if you want to chop off any parts of the custom, of the LPS, and you know, sculpt new parts to them. So this is good for cutting plastic. You might want to get a blow dryer if you're gonna head swap your custom. I'm not gonna show it here. Other things that are optional that you can get are sculpting tools. I have no clue what this is, but you can just be creative with what you use. You can get a dotting tool for the highlights in the eyes. This is completely optional. I never use it, but I just happen to have one. Other painting tools that you can get are, for example, sponges. Some people use airbrushes. I've never used an airbrush in my life, so I can't give you any tips on that. You can also get a sealer. Unfortunately, I can't help you with that either because I have no clue what people use. I don't use a sealer, unfortunately. You can obviously get molds if you're gonna do flower crowns, or if you just wanna add something cute to your custom that's hard to sculpt by hand. You can use super glue if you have some parts that have come off or you need to glue something to your LPS. That's a good thing to have. You might want to get some steel wire if you're going to sculpt some really complicated, huge things. This can actually help you make it more stable. So steel wire is good to have. Again, as I said, it's just good to have. It's not necessary for sculpting. Of course, if you want to go crazy, you can get hair for your LPS. I'm probably not going to do a tutorial on that because it's kind of tedious to reroute, but you can, if you want to, you can use a rerouting tool and hair. That's completely optional once again. So now you're ready to start customizing. One last tip, if you want to customize LPS, the one personal skill that you're going to need is a whole lot of patience, especially in the beginning, because it can be hard to paint with tiny brushes and it just requires a lot of patience from you and just going over it again and again and refining the details. That's my one tip for you if you're going to start customizing LPS and you've never done it before. It's not as easy as it looks in my videos, I promise you. Most of my painting is just repainting, as you might have seen already. So it's not magic, it's just a whole lot of patience and hard work and just going at it, even though it might make you slightly crazy at times. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this video. The next video is going to be how to prepare your custom for customizing. In that one I'm going to show you how to prep, how to remove parts, and everything else you need to know. Okay. Bye!